Welcome to Law Easy. My name is Marty Shenkman. I'm joined by Brian Boak, an insurance, property casualty liability insurance consultant. Welcome, Brian. Topic for this clip is flood insurance. You can't watch a newscast, sadly, shockingly, without seeing some type of natural disaster happening with too great a frequency. One of those types of disasters that we've seen the devastation, and it's horrific to watch, is flood. What type of insurance do people need? What does their homeowners coverage actually provide in flood coverage?
First, we'll start with what is flood. And flood is rising groundwater. It's not a broken pipe. It's not a backed up sewer.
Very important. I've seen people make that mistake, and when they've had frozen pipes, say, well, I have flood coverage. It was a flood in the house, but that's not a flood.
No. Flood coverage is rising groundwater on normally dry land. And FEMA, Federal Emergency Management System, created a program years ago when private insurance companies got crushed by floods and they basically got out of the market. So there is a federal program that you can buy $250,000 worth of coverage for your building.
It's not much.
Okay. And $100,000 in contents coverage.
And that's the cap.
That's the cap on the FEMA program.
Okay. So in other words, many, if not most, homeowners should assume that they don't have flood coverage under their homeowner's policy? Is that what you're suggesting?
No homeowner has coverage for flood damage on a regular, unendorsed homeowner's policy.
So everyone's got to be aware of that. So one option is this FEMA program, but it sounds like the numbers are very limited.
The numbers are limited and the coverage is limited because one of the big coverages that is not available that a lot of people with Sandy discovered is if your house burns to the ground, the insurance company will give you additional living expenses reimbursement to have you live in a hotel or another home until your home is rebuilt. Okay. Flood coverage, regular FEMA flood coverage, does not have additional living expense coverage.
That's a huge cost. It could take quite some time.
It could take a long time to rebuild.
Right. We've seen that.
Yeah.
What about private flood insurance?
Private flood insurance has been around for a limited period of time. It is becoming more prevalent because the FEMA rates are going up because the FEMA is a subsidized program, which is incredibly in debt. Okay, so they have to raise the rates. So private flood is coming in. Private flood is much more comprehensive. You can get replacement cost on building and contents where there's differences on the FEMA program whether you can or cannot get replacement cost.
Okay.
Okay. You can get additional living expenses. It's much broader coverage, and you can get higher limits.
But just to emphasize the point you said earlier, don't assume that's included in a policy because unless you get this additional coverage, it's probably not.
On a regular homeowner's policy, you don't have flood insurance.
So who do you get that from? Is that from the same carrier that's writing your homeowners, or is it a separate company that you're buying over and above your homeowners?
It would be from the same agent you're buying your homeowner's policy from, and the private flood insurance would be from a different company. The FEMA flood program is a program that is managed by the federal government, but there is what's called a write-your-own program where different insurance companies place their nameplate on it, but it's not their policy. It's the federal policy.
Okay. And you mentioned a comment when we were talking a phrase, excess flood. What does that refer to?
Excess flood, similar to excess liability insurance, is flood insurance on top of the basic flood coverage. So it allows you, for somebody who has a several $1 million home or even a $500,000 home that has the basic $250,000 per building and $100,000 for contents.
So it's like an umbrella because it's over the underlying coverage.
Correct.
And when do you need to look at that? If the whatever the underlying, just the cap is too small.
When you feel that you could have more damage than the 250, 100.
Well, I think
which is most homes.
Right. Now, is this stuff that the typical property casualty insurance agent deals with and will understand? Is this something that the homeowner needs to be proactive to make sure that they're getting because many people don't?
If you have a mortgage, you're going to be required to buy flood insurance.
Okay.
But you may only have the regular FEMA program, so you may think, okay, I have flood insurance, that's all I can get.
But that's not
you can get more, but not every agent is sophisticated enough to know, one, about the private flood insurance.
Right.
Okay. Or have access to companies that can provide excess flood insurance.
Any final recommendations to homeowners, what they should be looking at to protect their home investment?
You need to look at the exposure. Is there water around you? Are you in a flat area? Are you in a valley? What is the risk? Because a lot of people in North Carolina that didn't think they were going to have flood damage,
Yeah, the so-called 100-year flood zones.
it's not only the only place that floods.
Right. And it's not only once in 100 years.
Correct.
Right. Thank you for joining us. Please keep in mind that all the video clips are for educational purposes only. Please consult a professional advisor before taking any action. Thank you.